This is Craig. He runs a small business. He doesn't have a massive team. He's not an influencer with millions of followers that give him a massive advantage online. But over the last year, Craig's attributed around £100,000 in revenue directly from his content without running paid ads, with no crazy funnels and no complicated setup. What's interesting here is that it wasn't always like this. A few months ago, Craig was completely burnt out with his content. He was posting multiple times a week, putting a huge amount of time and energy into his videos, and even spending upwards of £5,000 on guru-led courses to help him get results. And as you can imagine, it wasn't working for his business and he felt like he'd wasted his money. So in this video, I want to break down exactly what changed in Craig's content and a subtle shift that we made together that turned his content from something that just gets attention into a marketing asset that actually brings in clients for his small business. If you're a business owner posting content and it's not bringing in you clients, most of the time it won't have anything to do with your content. Just like Craig, chances are you're already creating content that's getting attention, but it's not designed to turn that attention into clients. So what I share in this video will most likely help you to get out of that rut. A few months back, Craig was doing a lot of things at the same time. He was posting regularly, trying a lot of different things at the same time, and trying to put himself out there as the authority in his industry with content that looked like this.
Most gurus scream, pick a niche. Then here you are talking to a man dressed as ketchup. Doesn't get much more niche than this, does it? AI is stealing my job. Yeah, that's an excellent hook for a new video. Who are you? That's a nice keyboard you've got there. I need that keyboard to perform my duties.
Craig was stuck in a situation that I see all of the time. He was creating content for attention and not in a way that was designed to attract the right people and convert them into paying customers. And that's a pretty big difference. On the surface, Craig had videos that had reached 50,000 views, hundreds of likes and lots of new followers, so it felt like they were working. But below the surface, none of it was actually turning into business, and because of that, his small business relied heavily on recommendation, word of mouth, and referrals. Right now, you might be in the same boat that Craig was, and you'll get that feeling or that sense of frustration where you're questioning whether or not your content is good enough, whether your approach is actually the wrong thing altogether, so you start to push harder. You start spending more time on your content, you begin to put more effort in, and before you know it, you start feeling burned out, overwhelmed, and you're going around in circles trying to figure out why it's not working. That's where Craig was. And after being there myself, I can honestly and genuinely say I wouldn't wish that feeling on anybody. It sucks. The real problem here wasn't anything to do with his confidence or even the quality of his videos. I'd argue they were pretty strong already. Craig had a bit of experience creating and posting content online, but he was playing the wrong game, just like most small business owners are today, by chasing what's called the attention economy. More views, more reach, more impressions, more followers, likes, comments, the whole 9 yards. This stuff makes you feel incredible, especially when you have a post that goes mental online, but this style of content doesn't convert anywhere near like it used to. What works today is trust, depth over noise, expertise over cleverness, and content that stops people in their tracks to make them think deeply. Very quickly, we have shifted from an attention economy to a trust economy, and if you're still playing the game the old way, chances are you're going to be wasting valuable time and energy on an approach that just doesn't work anymore. So instead of posting more and making his videos look better with fancy cameras and building a more glamorous background, we stripped everything back to basics and we got really clear on who he was trying to talk to. Which sounds like a really basic thing, but you'd be surprised with how many people I work with who just haven't got this nailed yet. Before we did this, Craig's content could literally be viewed by anybody, from people interested in AI to a local barber called John Johnsonson down the road to friends and family. But turns out the ideal audience that he wanted to target was other small business owners who wanted a brand new website. So we decided to go all in on targeting this particular persona, a very specific person with a very specific problem, and because of that, we changed the role of his content altogether. Instead of trying to impress everyone, getting lots of vanity metrics and hoping that the right people see it, we went down the route of pre-selling his expertise, creating content that shows how he thinks, how he solves problems, and how he approaches his work to give people the confidence that he knows what he's doing. Today, by the time that somebody reaches out to inquire about working with him and purchasing his products and services, they're already sold on working with him. They trust Craig implicitly to the point that they're mainly getting in touch for a quote, and they're more than likely to say yes to that quote because they now see Craig as the authority. They're not coming to him asking, hey, can you help me out with this thing? They're saying, hey, how can we work together? I want to buy your product and I want to buy your service. Just like you would if you were going to the doctors, you wouldn't go in feeling in pain and ask, hey, can you help me? You'd go in already knowing that they're able to fix your problem and you just trust them to tell you exactly what you need to do. This is called the doctor method in marketing. Having Craig follow this method was such an invaluable shift because it meant that there was no faffing around on having to convince people on sales calls or wasting time talking to unqualified clients and spending hours on pictures that led to nowhere. The people knocking on Craig's door were already sold, ready to buy, and wanted to get started, so much so that as of the recording of this video, he's got around £70,000 in pipeline in terms of pitches that already sound like a positive yes, which is really, really exciting. It goes without saying that all of this wouldn't have worked without putting together a clear content path to follow, so that he wasn't following a post and hope mentality that I see so many small business owners fall into the trap of. Every video that Craig now creates gives his audience a clear next step and takes them progressively deeper into his ecosystem of other content that they can consume, educate themselves around, and help them to become both problem and solution aware. Whether that's starting a conversation, watching another piece of content to further educate his audience, or steering viewers closer to his offer, every video now has a clear focus. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, well, Jack, this all sounds great, but how does it actually work? How do I put this together by myself within my own small business? If I was to put it bluntly, your content doesn't fail because people aren't seeing it. Again, you're probably already creating content yourself that is getting the odd bit of attention here and there, but it fails because it doesn't move people. It doesn't build trust, and it doesn't position you as the obvious choice in what's likely a very saturated industry. In the nicest way, your content just exists on the internet. With Craig, we've worked together to create content that's actually helping his target audience to understand why he is the right choice. And whilst it is considerably less attention grabby and a lot more specific, it's working so much harder for his business in terms of generating leads and sales. For example, here's a couple of videos that he's creating today.
Rule number 4, nobody will read it. This rule will change everything about how you create content on your website. So why does everybody think that WordPress is dead? I'll tell you exactly why.
Instead of hoping that his content reaches the right audience and that leads might come of it, he started to attract qualified conversations, better leads who understand his value, and people who aren't price shopping for the cheapest solution. And so far, we've directly attributed around £100,000 of revenue from his videos alone since we started working together, not factoring in the £70,000 that's currently out in pitches. For money, this revenue has been great because it's allowed him to reinvest back into his small business and grow it, but the biggest result, in my eyes at least, is that his content has stopped feeling like this constant pressure. Like it was always something that he had to keep up with and always keep on track of and post all the time, and it became chaotic and frustrating and very overwhelming at times. Instead, like it should be, it's become a harder working asset that's actually supporting his small business without him needing to post every day and be online 24/7. And it's helped to remove that feeling of guesswork that opens up more time to grow his small business. For Craig, it's removed that sense of burnout and that frustrating feeling of trying to figure out what content is and isn't working. And now that we've got that clear path forward, and an approach that's really working for his business, his content no longer feels like a burden, and it started to become a really exciting opportunity to both strengthen his authority in a way that's actually generating clients and getting him out there in front of the right people. So how can you do everything that I've just covered for your own business? Well, if you're watching this and thinking, well, I'm posting and it's not really going anywhere, or that you're posting content that isn't really turning into clients, you're probably not far off where Craig was earlier. And it's great news because you don't need to start from scratch. You just need to change the role that your content is playing. It goes without saying that if you want help to figure that out in terms of how to actually make your content bring in leads and clients without guessing your way through it, that's exactly what we cover inside my community, the Content Club. On a daily basis, I help business owners turn their content into something that actually works commercially for their business. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to check it out. It is a closed community and I'm very selective of who I do let inside, but if you feel like it's something that you want to fix, you can apply to join using the link below. If there's one thing that I want you to take from Craig's story today, it's that the game is no longer about posting as much as possible and getting lots of eyeballs and views and likes and followers from your content. It's about talking to a very specific person, a smaller audience, but helping that person solve their problem. If you want to stick around, there's a video right here that will help you to do just that. Click on over. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. I'll be happy to help, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.